Hi again, everyone. Gary Digit Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway, our news and notes, a very special edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes as we continue to revel in the just amazing night that was Saturday, January the 14th, 2017. And it was an amazing night because of two men, Gervonta Davis and Immanuwel Aleem. That was a historic night, Saturday night. When you look at two young men who I've had the pleasure of watching in the amateurs and do great things as young pros. And yes, Aleem is from Richmond, Virginia, but a lot of his training came in the Beltway, number one. Number two, because he trained a lot throughout the area, trained up at Oldington Fitness with Tony Jeter and other places. Of course, his trainer is a gentleman from D.C. and George Peterson, former police officer, of course, trained world champion Paul Williams. And actually, the Aleem family came to me and said, we want to be recognized as a Beltway boxer because we're that connected to the Beltway. And so that's why I include Aleem in this. And what the two of them did Saturday night at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York was just absolutely phenomenal. It was one of the most phenomenal things I've seen in a long time. It continues to validate what Juan Marshall and I have been saying for the past few years about this next wave. Because Gervonta Davis, Immanuwel Aleem are part of that next wave. And for those who don't know what the next wave is, let me explain that real quick. Back in 2013, I wrote a column on my blog on Boxing Along the Beltway of about a number of guys who had won, done an incredible job as amateurs in that time period and were just getting ready to step into the pro ranks. These are the likes of Lamont Rose Jr., Jared Hurd, Demetrius Ballard, Mike Reed. Gary Russell was a little ahead of that, but he was still, kind of connected to it. His brothers, Antonio and now Antoine coming up, but Antonio is a part of that as well. I mean, there's so many. Kevin Rivers Jr. I mean, there were a lot of guys that they really did outstandingly great work in the amateurs, and we're ready to make that next step and go to the pros. And tonight, on Saturday night, that took another step because it was. I mean, what a way to start off the year. That's the amazing part. What a way to start off 2017 as a 2016 where we saw guys make voyages and make trips to better themselves. And that's why both Gervonta and Jared Hurd were named our Boxers of the Year in 2016 because they both made voyages. And they made voyages that were successful and led them to moments like what we saw on January 14th. And Jared Hurd is on the way to doing something along those lines in February. And, he's in a position where he could be our next one. Okay, he could be our next one. But we have other people who could be our next ones too, which is the great thing about that. The great thing about what we're doing right now. Gervonta Davis's performance against the now former IBF junior lightweight champion Jose Pedraza was amazing. It really was. I mean, a lot of people did not think that Davis was experienced enough to perform at this top level. He told, as he said in the post-fight interview with Jim Gray on Showtime, he told the Showtime folks that he had that. If you'd watched him through the amateurs like I had and like Juan Marshall had, we knew he had it. That's the thing. I mean, the two wins that Gervonta had in 2016 were big wins. They were against better competition than he had fought earlier, but it wasn't the top contender level competition. We understood that. But what you have to understand about Gervonta Davis is that he is wise beyond his years. And he proved that on January the 14th. He proved that against Pedraza. I mean, the shots that he landed on Pedraza, especially the legend, I think was going to become a legendary body shot along the Beltway. The legendary body shot that Pedraza landed in the 6th round set the stage for the finish in the next round, the 7th round. And it just got done. I mean, it was just, it's still, even after 48 hours more now of enjoying that win, I still have a hard time putting into words the excitement I feel about that. I really do. But I can say this much, though. And I just before I came on the air, I saw a video on Facebook that, and Juan and I talked about this during the broadcast Friday night at Michael's 8th Avenue, Glen Burnie, Maryland. And we talked to David Sewell, one of the great trainers, other great trainers in Baltimore. And what this win means for the city of Baltimore. Now, as many of you know, I work as the public address announcer at Coppin State University in Baltimore. And on Saturday afternoon, during the game I had between Coppin and North Carolina A&T, I went off script. And I did a mention to the Coppin State crowd about Gervonta's fight that evening. 2 reasons why I did that. Number one, of course, Gervonta being from Baltimore. And number two, the first time that Gervonta fought in his home city of Baltimore as a pro was on July the 13th, 2013, and the bout took place in the very arena in which I was sitting at Coppin State University. And so I felt I had to do it. It was pressing upon my heart to do the announcement. I asked, those who are the sort of the supervisors there. And after 23 years, I kind of have, I won't say full leeway, but I they know what I need, what I can do, and the way I should do it. So I went ahead and did it. And I'm so glad I did it now, because people who saw it were on Facebook saying, I saw this guy. I may have never seen him before, but I was so impressed that he was so good at that level. So it's going to mean a lot for the city of Baltimore. I mean, it's going to mean for the mood of the city. I mean, this is something very positive that they need. And don't look now, folks. And this, in that video I saw today, kind of put this into light too. Baltimore has some quality fighters, and they're coming from all over the city. Think about, we named one Baltimore boxer a prospect of the year, and that was Travis Reeves. You've got Malik Hawkins, who had an outstanding year in 2016. You have Stephon Morris, who had a great year in 2016. You had Devin Butcher, who bounced back from a loss and got to win his last bout against Eric Govan in November. And then right behind them, you've got a guy that, like I said, the only other person I've ever said this about was Mike Yes Indeed Reed. I probably should have said about Gervonta Davis, and maybe I did, I just don't remember. But when I looked him in the eye and I said, I can't wait till you turn pro. I cannot wait until Lorenzo Truck Simpson turns pro. And Baltimore is rolling right now as far as top prospects, contenders, and now world champion. I mean, this is a great time for Baltimore as far as boxing is concerned. It is going to be amazing. Travis Reeves is scheduled to go to Australia in March. Lorenzo Simpson looks to win other great championships. I hope he wins a Golden Glove as well. By the way, a Golden Glove. By the way, Gervonta Davis now added to the list of Beltway boxers who have won national Golden Gloves and went on to win world championships. You got Mark Johnson, of course, Sherry Leonard, Mark Johnson, Lamont Peterson, Gary Russell Jr. If you want to count Steve Cunningham, who's really not from this area, but he did box under the D.C. region because he was in the Navy. He won a national Golden Glove, went on to be a world champion. He's really from Philadelphia, but still he boxed on that boxed under that same people, and now you have Gervonta Davis. I mean, It's amazing time for this group. I mean, it is going to be an amazing time. And then you just look at, as I said, the last 2012, you got Jared Hurd doing well. Martin Roach Jr. has a big bout coming up later on in the first quarter of this year. It is amazing. So congratulations to Gervonta Davis, and I hope Baltimore celebrates him much like Hakeem Rockman was celebrated when he won over Lennox Lewis, much like Vince Perry probably should have been celebrated when he won the title against Gianfranco Rossi. I hope Gervonta, because Gervonta, as young as he is, and he's the youngest champion, and I'm glad Showtime made that distinction. He's the youngest American world champion in boxing today. There is a Japanese fighter who won his title at age 21, but he's the youngest American world champion right now. You know, the youngest champion from the United States right now. And I hope Baltimore takes advantage. The new mayor, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, but the new mayor, much like the previous mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, who honored Tank, I hope the new mayor does as well. I would love to get him over the Cop and introduce him to the crowd. I really want to do that. I may talk to Calvin about that. I really want Gervonta to be a special guest of Coppin State University again, because his pro Baltimore debut took place in that building. And I just want Coppin, I want Morgan, I want all the colleges in the area to understand, to know this guy. You know, I want, Towson, UMBC, Johns Hopkins, whoever has basketball games, I want folks to know him. I want him to be in the Preakness Parade in May, because he needs to be in the Preakness Parade. Everything that when Coppin State won the 1997 MEAC championship, won the first round of the tournament, of the NCAA tournament, I want the same stature of celebration to be pressed upon Gervonta Davis, because he deserves it. His team deserves it. Calvin Ford, Kenny Ellis, they are two remarkable men. I've had the chance to know them over the years, and what they do for the city, what they do for their boxers, it is phenomenal. And that's what's happening all over Baltimore. You look at Umar, you look at Mac Lewis Gym, Brother Chin's Gym, Honeycomb Boxing Gym. You got so many great gyms in Baltimore right now. And you always had them, but I mean, they're really pressing the envelope. Jake Smith over at Baltimore Pro Boxing. Baltimore Boxing. You've got so many gyms that are pressing right now who are really doing great work, and it is going to be phenomenal in the years to come, in the months and years to come. So I'm hoping Gervonta gets that celebration that he truly, truly deserves. No question about that. Now, let's turn to Immanuwel Aleem for a second, because you will not find a gutsier victory than Aleem had against Evgen Kurtov on Saturday night. It was phenomenal. I mean, first round he knocks Kurtov down, and actually I was kind of listening to the bout. I had it on in my car, but I was listening to it. I couldn't watch it, and I had a friend of mine in the car, and I was telling my friend, I just hope that he did not throw his entire wad out there that first round. And in the second round, it looked like he did, but that young man has it was pure will. Maybe even will over skill. I don't know if that's exactly true, but because Immanuwel Aleem does indeed have the skill. But I think his will was stronger in the grand scheme of things. And I think he surprised Kurtov. Third round, Aleem came back. Outstanding round. Fourth and fifth round kind of even a little bit. And then the sixth round, he took care of business. I mean, it was an amazing win for him. And Aleem's win puts into motion something else we talk about periodically on Boxing on Beltway and on Pro and Fight Talk when Juan and I get together. And that's having your last fight prepare you for your next fight. Okay? Because here's what happened. If you remember, Aleem's last fight, prior to the one he had Saturday, was against Demond Nicholson. And it was a tough fight. In fact, it went to a draw. Two guys who relatively knew each other because they, in the same area, basically. But money situations and recognition situations, ranking situations, put that bout together. And they fought tooth and nail. They fought tooth and nail for 8 rounds. Neither one came out the victor. But it really prepared Aleem because it showed, number one, he could go the distance because he hadn't done that a lot in his career. He's been doing it lately as his competition has grown. But it got him ready for Kurtov. I firmly believe that. It got the bout against Nicholson got Aleem ready for what happened Saturday night. And unlike Nicholson, who has skill and will, Kurtov had skill, but may not have had the will. And to his credit, Aleem took advantage of that. And that's where he is right now. Now he's the WBC silver middleweight champion. I believe he's ranked number 2 in the world right now, middleweight. Middleweight's a solid division. Okay? So right now he's in a great position, much like where Dominique Wade was last year. So as things kind of change a little bit, they just announced Alvarez and Chavez at 164, and things are kind of going to be shifting a little bit in that middleweight division. Aleem can step right in there now. No guarantee Triple G is going to be in that area at that point. So he could be in some good territory at this moment in the middleweight division. So we are in a great place right now. I mean, this elevates us into a really solid place. Is just what this area needed. Richmond, Virginia can celebrate this. I mean, it's a regional title, but still, it's a major win for one of their own. And so it's going to be interesting to see how things continue in the Beltway going forward. It's going to be an interesting year. I think the voyages that we have taken are going to pay off when the trips move into port and and taxi down the runway in 2017. So I just wanted to really take a moment to celebrate this because this was a remarkable win and 2 wins and sets us up for some great things down the road. Now, our next card will be on Saturday evening. Excuse me. I'm so excited. It's just amazing. Saturday evening, February 11th, we'll be at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland for the King's Promotions card. We'll start putting some information about that card in the next week or so on Boxing on the Beltway and on Pro Am Fight. I think there is some information about it on Pro Am Fight Talk right now, so you can go over there to check that out, proamfighttalk.blogspot.com, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it has really invigorated my spirit because, to tell you the truth, one of the things I was going to be doing on this blog, on this podcast, is to tell you all that I was probably going to take a few steps back with my boxing coverage because I have a lot of things I'm working with in my real-time life, so to speak, not to be confused real-time pain relief, but real life, and it's kind of hindering my boxing coverage because I have to put the situation in a different category, and it takes precedence over my boxing at this moment. But what happened over the weekend, not to mention actually the whole weekend, Friday, January 13th at Michael's, which was a good card, and of course what happened on Saturday kind of invigorated me again. And so I may be taking a few steps back, but not as many as I thought I would be. So I'll still be around, still be going to every card, and Goldie Gloves are coming up. That's going to help me considerably. And I'm just looking at a great year. Now, those of you who have my Facebook page, I want you to take a look at that because I pulled up a Facebook post of the 18 world champions now that I have covered in my 30 plus years covering boxing in this area. And I'm so proud of that. I mean, I went through that this morning, and I mean, I covered a who's who, man. I have covered a who's who. You know, you look at, I mean, that list is so talented. And so many others could have joined that list, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But to see that list and to finally see it in a visual setting, I was so proud. I started to cry a little bit because it was amazing. It was an amazing time. It has been an amazing time. It continues to be an amazing time now with Gervonta winning this. And you got Jared Hurd on the cusp. You still got Thomas Williams, who has a big bout coming up later on in the first quarter this year. You know, they're right there. You know, and so when you look at what's going to happen, I'm hoping, my hope this year is that we'll round that out to 20 world champions by the end of this year. That's my hope. Okay. 20 world champions. It could happen. We'll see. And if it does happen, that means we have 4 champions holding the title at the same time this year, just like we had back in the mid-90s with Keith Holmes, William Joppy, Shambe Mitchell, and Mark Johnson. So it could happen. Mike Reed is around. You know, Mike Reed's ranked in the top 10 now. You know, it could happen. And that's what keeps me going now. The fact that I can see this happening now. Not that I couldn't see it before, because I've said it could happen, but it's really in sight now. And that has invigorated me. I mean, it really has. So I'm not going anywhere. I may be back a little bit, but I'm not going anywhere. And I'm just looking forward to chronicling what could be a very important and very exciting 2017. That will do it here for this very special edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Congratulations once again to the brand new IBF Junior Lightweight Champion of the World, Gervonta Tank Davis, and the new WBC Silver Middleweight Champion. Puts him in the top 3 in the rankings in the world title. Immanuwel, the chosen one, Aleem. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining me, and always remember to keep supporting what is indeed the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.